Všetky podcasty ZAPO sú nevhodné do 18 rokov. A vo všetkých čakaj okrem klasickej reklamy aj platené partnerstvo alebo umiestnenie produktov, pretože reklama je náš jediný príjem.
And you might face the founder, and if you're intense as well, that might be the detraction, the tension. At that point, you need to understand that it's more important than you, and it's your task and different thing. And because the person, the way he or she is, it's good. You might have some confrontation that might be not pleasant on personal level, but if that helps the company, it helps the person to build a significant company, you should put your ego away and invest and work with this person, support, help, etc. So, ego is the main enemy.
You told me the story about yourself as well. You were swimming and you were talking about some nice material stuff you'd like to achieve. It was back in the days, teenage years, and one of the most ambitious or most successful in swimming back in the days said like, come on guys, we are small city guys, we have no chance to reach such a thing, such a stuff. And your approach was totally different.
I have a goosebump, It's so scary. I mean, even though the guy is actually champion of Ukraine of his years, I mean, at 50 and 100 meters freestyle. And when he said stuff like, yeah, we're swimming, but given the life, all these businesses, cars, I mean, this stuff, we should settle. And I'm like, I refuse to believe that we should settle. It was so scary because, I mean, and unfortunately it seems that most people agree at some point. They just face some hardship that they cannot overcome. Maybe, obviously in my case, there's a lot of luck in my case, for sure. There's another trait of founders that we can discuss later about luck. But I was lucky enough to get into this Genesis ecosystem when people, supporting each other, everybody eats a lot of stuff every day. So, it's not this silver bullet or pill, there is a grinding and hard work. And you have support in the cases like that. And maybe that people who gave up, and especially that's, by the way, a very serious conversation about mental health of founders, because founder and CEO is the most lonely position in the whole company. Because you bear all the context of all problems that you sometimes cannot share with all employees, and you need to bear it yourself. Yeah, but you can have good investors who went through this, who you can share it with. But yeah.
Okay, so when did you realize that, I'm a doer, I want to do more in my life, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to skip maybe the corporate life, and I'm going on my own? What was the transition in your head? Do you remember the story or the situation? Like, okay, this is enough. Working for somebody else?
Interesting question. Probably because this corporate life wasn't that corporate. I was working in a small team directly with people who were delivering stuff. So I hadn't this, layers of layers and this corporate communication without speaking to people. Yeah, they communicate, they don't speak.
CC'd everybody from the team.
Yeah. I hadn't that part, so I was really lucky there. And I don't know, I believe that we lean toward people who we want to be, who we see that's a very interesting path. And from the university years, why I started working since the year 3, because during the first year I had a lot of math. Absolutely stunning. We have this exam to get to university after schools. The maximum score is 200 scores. 200. I had 7 people in my group with 200 at math. Yeah, so that was intense. Yeah, I wasn't one of them, as you may see, but that was intense. But after that, there were a lot of this, meaningless researches. Everyone understood that they downloaded somewhere, they need to present and all that. Luckily enough, I I realized that I don't want form to be over the sense, and maybe that's an entrepreneurial path. And I remember that obviously there was a moment of leap of faith, yes, when, Deloitte, there was understandably like M&A stuff, and I learned a lot. I had a great partner there, still have great relationship with him, but the worst thing from Genesis, the guy from investment bank I was headhunted, then was this idea from Genesis, and there was a notion of if you are hardworking, smart, and really into, we don't afraid to give young people some responsibility and resources so they can execute. That was an idea of super lucrative to me, and I remember talking to my father. He's, by the way, they also build their own company, so probably part of the thinking is from him. Secondly, yes, my understanding that in our society, the cohort of entrepreneurs, they create an output, and that's cool. I mean, I remember back in 2015 in Ukraine, there were emergence of like at least 4 or 5 YouTube channels about entrepreneurship that became really popular. So that was a renaissance of entrepreneurship in Ukraine. And a third thing, I came to my partner at Deloitte directly telling Artur Borisovich, I have such a case. What do you think? Because he knew that my guy was out, like received an offer, accepted an offer, and he knew that I won't be here for long. So, but I trusted him. That was a great example for me, still, up until today. And he thought, okay, I'll ask people on the market about the guys I want to work with. He come back saying that it seemed to be one of the strongest team in the region. The only question is whether you're ready.
I was born ready, man.
I remember I was calling my dad and I'm like, yeah, listen, that's the setup. And he's like, oh, you see, like, think twice whether you're ready or not, because again, my position was doing everything for everyone. I mean, you should be basically hardworking, good critical thinking, and okay with numbers. That's it. I knew nothing about like this entrepreneurship, consumer tech, applications, nothing. And that probably was one of the pivotal moments in my life. If you look back, you have several of them. That was probably one of these. I don't think that, like, in this setup, you lose nothing, because back then I was 21. I skipped master degree. I have no master's degree. Yeah, so I'm like, why not? What do I lose?
Joining Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg, it's not a bad company.
I mean, yeah, but by the way, Genesis at this point is already material. If you look at P&L of Meta, ads, revenue, Genesis is material already. But that's not the point. I could always go back because of this direct relationship with my partner there, who advised me basically, so if you're ready, you can try. You always have the way back. Why not?
V práci sa nemáš točiť na stoličke a ani v kruhu. Otoč svoju kariéru. No Idea Lab a The Spot ti prinášajú decembrový víkend, kde budeš môcť porozmýšľať nad tým, čo je pre teba v práci dôležité a ako si chceš nadizajnovať budúcnosť. Pripravené sú pre teba praktické cvičenia a zážitky podporujúce kreativitu, schopnosť riešiť problémy a budovať odolnosť. Žiadne EZO, iba praktické rady, ako začať svoj vlastný biznis. Rezervuj si 1. decembrový týždeň a klikaj na noidea.sk.
What about the scarcity of entrepreneurship? Do you have sometimes the feelings like, is it risky, or is it a bigger risk than maybe I can take it myself?
I'm not myself, you see. I have partners, I have people. That's probably one of the most important things to advise. And I'm very lucky to have these people, because we have 2 co-founders, 3 partners. We all are very different, very different. I mean, I'm this numbers guys. I can tell you about countless different partners telling different stories, their frameworks, some books, and again, some stuff. I know all the numbers and etc. Vital, my co-founder, he's a very high-level entrepreneurial guy. He is a co-founder of Genesis, and he basically come with the idea to build mobile apps at Genesis. That was his idea. So he really feels the market movements and the timing. But in terms of execution and organization and structure, that's why he needs me. And Lena, she's a networking ninja, absolutely. I mean, she knows everyone and everybody. She did a podcast with Gary Stebbins from 20VC for our portfolio companies. I mean, absolutely stunning. So I cannot imagine doing this stuff alone. I probably could do it, but I would fail most likely, or the magnitude of that would be significantly smaller. Partners are important.
Interesting that you said the word luck many times, and I'm a big sport fan, or used to be, and I was watching, admiring some sports stories, and all the guys, they were like, I was super lucky over there and this situation, and it seems like that every successful person on this planet needs a lot of luck.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, when we work with founders, there is a notion named locus of control. It might be either internal or external. External is everything around you is responsible for what's happening to you. The market, competitors, politics, war, COVID, all stuff. Internal locus of control is basically what happens to you is because of you. So you perceive this in a quite different way. And we have, out of 87 portfolio companies, 10 written off. That's not a lot. We need more. But frankly,
okay.
But in all these cases, we were analyzing what went wrong. All the cases, external locus of control. I mean, some shitty head of sales really didn't deliver what he promised. That's why we underperforming, burn a lot of cash and shut down. And I remember this conversation really. And I was like, maybe there was something with the hiring process or with onboarding or was with control of metrics that it took you a year to understand this person is underperforming. And they were like, no, he was just jerk. And it's all about this internal locus of control. And with that attitude, you do whatever you can, and it's really humbling. But successful stories that you refer to also in sport, that's when preparation meets circumstances. Because circumstances, you cannot control them. There is Mark Andreessen from Andreessen Horowitz has a list of essays, yes, PM archive, super interesting. One of them is about 4 levels of luck. So basically, first is you just live the life. Second, you live the life and open to opportunities. And then you start building up your own profession and personality around your use case, around your background. So everybody knows that if they're Ukrainian early stage founders, they need to talk to Losha. I mean, that's it. And luck is about really, there is another book called Thinking in Bets by Annie Duke. She's a professional poker player and she transferred the decision-making framework from poker to real life. She says that in every outcome, there are 2 parts. First one is quality of your decisions. Second is luck. Because you might calculate that, okay, you will have that hand with, 70% probability. But you still have 30 when it's not happening. And in each particular case, you can do good decisions, but the outcome, because of this luck element, might be negative. Yeah. But if you look at the sample of hundreds of thousand decisions, that's the difference between good poker player and bad one, between good founder and bad one, between successful person and not so successful. So in each particular case, you might do bad decisions or good. By the way, sometimes it doesn't matter because let me build up from there. So in poker, all the decisions have similar weights. So basically you will have another hand. It all will start from the start. In life, we have very different weights on decisions. For example, decision whether go to Genesis or not was quite important. And you can mess up in small decisions in terms of customer success, go to market when you build the company, but you have important ones. So the weights between decisions in life is not evenly distributed. And the best founders I believe that's a real gift, can differentiate important decisions from not important ones.
Do you remember the bad decision you make?
A lot. I mean, you probably should ask about good decisions because you can outline them. Yeah, I mean, a lot of dumb decisions. But the most important thing...
How do you react?
I don't know. I mean, having regrets is making no sense. You just need to learn why. And first and second, you need to understand and learn to distinguish important and not important decisions. For not important decisions, it doesn't really even make sense to waste time. For important decisions, you can recall this Jeff Bezos approach that there are one-door and two-door decisions. So if there's two-way decision, so you can try, go back. It really doesn't matter if you have resources. If that's a one-door decision, you should really spend time. One-door decisions most likely connected to people. So sometimes relationships you cannot,
co-founders, business partners, life
partners, kids, family, parents, things like that. In that regard, I mean, so far, no regrets. No regrets.
Lucky man again.
Yeah, I mean, lucky man, did some shit, but you need to know how to recover. In most cases, especially for not important situations, you can turn unsuccessful case to a successful one by honestly admitting and learning. Super easy. Hard to do because of ego.
How to manage your ego?
I don't know. But I have one. I learned from Beetle. I don't know how it works from him. I mean, one of co-founders of Genesis, super successful guy, but he is successful because he let other people be the first violin, He has now of this, I should be the only shining star in this setup. You can run the company, you can start, you can build up, etc., just supporting people around. And I mean, if you try to just look at the situation on its own, if he would have this grown big ego, he wouldn't achieve that level of results he has now. That's just an example for me. And for decision making at VC, it's super critical because you might, have, especially when founder has a character, which is good. Again, sorry, but a lot of references. There is a guy, Don Valentine, he's a founder of Sequoia. And he has saying that he's unfortunately passed away already, but he had a saying that we have a quadrant of different founders. Easygoing with, not that easygoing with, that we earn from, that we lose money with. Who do you think we most likely will make money with or lose? Yeah, with founders who are not that easygoing. Because they have their own vision, they're intense, they're uncomfortable sometimes. And you might face the founder, and if you're intense as well, that might be the, detraction, the tension. At that point, you need to understand that it's more important than you, and it's your task and different thing. And because the person, the way he or she is, it's good. You might have some confrontation that might be not pleasant on personal level. But if that helps the company, it helps the person to build a significant company, you should put your ego away and invest and work with this person, support, help, etc. So, ego is the main enemy.
Okay, and back to your childhood memories, let's say. You said that you are from a tough neighborhood or the cities. When you are born there, you don't have many chances that you are going to manage 80 plus companies and be the VC founder, yourself as a founder, and 30 under 30, all those successes. On this global stage, on the Doers podcast, what would you do again when you are starting today as a small boy or girl from a tough neighborhood in some small country? What would be your strategy these days?
I remember an interview with Bill Gates saying that there is no place between your ass, sofa, and $1. I'm like, okay. I got the point that during your student years, you need to go out a lot. Even if you don't want, but there's some networking event, you might not know who you meet there. I've met Lena, my partner, who then introduced me to Vital, co-founder, during some absolutely random meetup, corporate finance meetup in some bar in Kyiv. You never know. You should be just, open to different things, be attentive to opportunities and ready for them again. Especially during the very early years when you have basically zero practical skills, but you have that. When we hire younger people, we basically look for just two traits. They should be not indifferent and have ownership. From the very early days when I joined Genesis, if I see that someone thrown a trash or paper out of the trash, I'm like, because I feel it's my thing. I'm here. That's my play field. I'm here. When my onboarding was basically non-existent because, really, I talked to Vital about that several months ago. What the fuck? I was a new person in new direction. We started doing one-on-ones in 2 months, maybe, or 3 months when I joined. It's you see, it's super simple. If you figure out what to do, so you see the problems, you are not indifferent, and you figure out the ways how to solve them on your own, so you have different people, resources here and here. I had many friends, always, know a lot of people. I was lucky enough, so we would work in the same open space with 150 people, in one place, and you everybody. So when you figure out there is a problem, you see you need to solve it. You can solve it by grabbing up resources, figuring them out. He was like, why do you need me? What should I do? And the opposite, if you are not doing all this stuff, just sitting, just figuring it out, why did the Genesis need you? So I would recommend build up this personal ownership on stuff, even when you don't have actual shares, but personal attitude like it's yours. This indifference and ownership is the most important thing.
I remember once I was interviewing one guy. He was just the hired managing director or CEO, and I'm telling him hey, Jan, you are not the co-founder. You are just the CEO or managing director. But he's I have the founder's mentality. Yeah. I feel like this is my company and I'm running the show. Yeah.
By the way, super rare case. Super interesting and glad that you met him, that he has that experience, but that's a rare case. Usually, there is, Andreessen Horowitz essays, and there is a very interesting essay, How to Hire a CEO. And it says, if you don't have a person on a team who you can bring up as a CEO, who's already that you grown up with, close the company. Yeah, you can check. Because it's super rare.
So no external hiree.
It's super rare. It's super rare that the person would have that ownership mentality and attitude as a hired manager. Okay. I know in one investment bank from CE region that during the post-USSR these times, building up the thesis on that. So because external management, Western European or the US managers had ownership over the company, and they were let's try to make them very uncomfortable during the negotiations and do this negotiation during holidays or some, Christmas or something. And they worked pretty well because they were okay, just another company, just let them be, let them what they want. That because external management and no ownership mentality. So your guy you're referring to, absolutely fantastic.
That's the question, how we can build up this mentality in more people around us, or even to find more doers, to be not just the followers, but taking the responsibility. Even I'm not the owner, I'm just the employee, and have the mentality.
You breed, I believe, with your team, because lucky to work with people who didn't want to be the first violin, the most beautiful princess on the ball. So they were you have your play field, you should execute. You can do whatever you want. And I'm okay, let's figure it out. if you're micromanaging people a lot, you're just killing their this entrepreneurial attitude, and they just, especially for younger professionals, yes, juniors, they don't know that differentiation between ownership, not ownership. You just let people do the stuff and expand this responsibility. That was probably the most boring podcast. There is a guy, Kitra Boyce. He was from PayPal Mafia. He was one of the first at LinkedIn, Square. He was a managing director of Founders Fund of Teal. Now he's a general partner at Hostla Ventures. So he is a lecturer at Stanford, How to Operate. Just 8 years old video. I mean, absolutely phenomenal. He says that the limit for the potential for every company is the number of barrel people in this company. Barrel people, these are people who can do the project from 0 to 1 without your oversee management and
guidance.
Support. Yeah, and the idea is super simple. Depending on the number of these people in your company, you can do in parallel different number of tasks or projects. And some of them will fail, but some of them will succeed. And the whole limit for the company is the number of these people and number of this project for these people to lead simultaneously. So if you see these barrel people with ownership, these are people that you need to hold with all your strengths, resources, and prayers.
You brought a lot of references. How to implement those in your real life or personal life or business life? Like all those essays, books, podcasts. Do you have any strategy how to do it?
No. Just be another smart or rather wise person told me that people are usually the most difficult and the most important things in your life. People. The most difficult and the most important. So you just pay attention to people.
Olek Ermolenko, appreciate your time and thoughts. Thanks so much.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Good.